I've realized that sweet potato casserole is really hard to say fast. Sweet potato casserole, sweet potato casserole, sweet potato casserole. By now, we just sort of say sweet potato casserole. Because I can't say sweet potato casserole that slowly for the whole video, because then it'll be too long. Hey, it's Eric Kim. I'm a food columnist for the New York Times. And I am so excited because I've been thinking about this sweet potato casserole for the last 4 years. Sweet potato casserole is a very special item on my family's Thanksgiving table because it's my mother's favorite dish. She loves it because it's an excuse to have dessert for dinner. When I was tasting the final iteration of this, I knew it was right because when I took a bite of it, I did a little dance. The flavor combination of bay leaf and sweet potato and marshmallow signaled something different. It made my brain sort of short circuit in a really good way. I think the joy of developing a Thanksgiving recipe is teaching people that you don't need too many ingredients to make a really stellar, thoughtful dish. Earlier this month, Wiz and I baked through some sweet potato casseroles that I thought were interesting and I wanted to learn from to fine-tune what my contribution to this pantheon of sweet potato casserole is.
Ooh, look at that fudginess. I like how orange that is. I want to try to maximize the sweet potato flavor by not masking it too much.
Do you want it to be like the hero?
Kinda, but I also want the marshmallows to shine.
During our testing day, we learned a lot about baked sweet potatoes and how everyone kind of does it a little differently. We found that the foil wrap ones, they were kind of like waterlogged, you know, they're a little soggy, right?
They've basically been steaming in their own juices. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the ones that were just baked naked. Yeah, they're so soft now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I felt that the moisture really came out and you end up with a sweet potato that is lusciously tender on the inside, but the moisture's had time to come out, which means that you get a concentrated sweet potato flavor. So many of the recipes we tested that day, they called for an hour bake time or maybe like an hour 15. I think sometimes a sweet potato really needs an hour and a half. We also tested with canned yams because I personally wanted to just like taste my childhood.
It's not as bad as I thought it'd be.
Does it taste like your childhood or like what you
Yeah, it tastes like my childhood yams.
There are a few ways you can bake them. I just want you to know you will see like a bubble, like a syrupy sugar bubble on one or two or all of them like start to like volcano out. That means that the potatoes really like cooking. And sweet potatoes have natural sugar in them. This is like sugar that's good for you. For an hour to an hour and a half, don't be afraid of the hour and a half. You really want this to get super, super melty and cooked down. And now we can just like pretend that time has lapsed and we're going into the cream now. Yeah. So this next step is where a lot of the flavor comes in. It's really weird how just a half cup of cream, just this baby amount of cream, will just absolutely perfume the heck out of this thing. Just take a really small saucepan. I'm getting half a cup of this cream. It is, in my opinion, really important to get fresh bay leaves. I was just really struck by how much flavor can come out of these little things when you cream steep them. But if you can't find them, dried totally works. Freshly ground black pepper is really important here. So the black pepper and bay leaves give the flavor background for this dish just a decidedly savory quality. We're gonna heat this over medium, so you actually don't wanna like boil the cream. What you are looking for is just bubbles around the edge of the pot, and then when that happens, I like to like shake the pot, and then if a wisp of steam comes up, then I'm like, okay, we're good. What do bay leaves taste like? I think of it as like adding a woodsy, savory depth to whatever you're cooking. Like F-word, like that smells so good. There were some recipes we tested where we used sage browned with the butter in the pan.
Ooh,
Thanksgiving.
it does smell like Thanksgiving.
When I was tasting the final iteration of this, it turned out that bay leaf and sweet potato and marshmallow is this phenomenal, like ambrosial flavor combination. See that smoke? We're done. Take it off the heat. And now it's like you're making tea. You're just letting it kind of like really infuse the cream with the black pepper and bay leaf flavor. These are lovely and really tender. You know they're done because as they cool, the flesh sort of does like come away from the shell. And so that's what's happened here. Ooh, it's so candied and beautifully roasted that the sugars have like hardened. But that shows you the magic of a sweet potato, right? I mean, so beautiful. They're pretty hot right now. So you could wear gloves or you could like wait for it to cool, but you know, if you've roasted them right, they really just slip out of their shells like that. So this is the step where you can really appreciate the potato for what it is. People say that Thanksgiving is about being grateful for the people around you, but I think it's about being grateful for the vegetables and the food. Just kidding. Also the people, but mostly the vegetables and the farmers. Sweet potato casserole as we know it, with the marshmallow topping, it came to us from the north, believe it or not. Janet Mackenzie Hill, who created this dish for a marshmallow company in 1917 in New England. And actually, when it came to the South, what happened was a lot of people replaced the marshmallows with nuts because they thought the marshmallow was crazy. But you know, if the skin peels away this well, then that's how you know you're good. So this is when you're adding the cream. I'm actually just gonna dump it all in, and I'll fish out the bay leaves later, because I want all that black pepper in there too. So while the potato's still warm, I'm gonna add the butter. The butter's at room temperature. I don't melt it. I get the point of melted butter, I get the point of brown butter, but I think it can lend greasiness. It's like kind of making it melt with the heat naturally, and then you end up with a texture that just, it doesn't like grease up your mouth. So a whole teaspoon of coarse kosher salt. So I'm actually gonna only start with 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, because I'm really just trying to season the sweet potatoes to taste. And depending on how much the potato has concentrated in flavor in the oven during its bake, depending on the type of sweet potato, depending on how long it's been sitting on the shelf, turning its starches to sugar, like this is my base seasoning, and I'm gonna adjust with a little more sugar if I want, a little more salt and pepper. Before we whisk in the eggs, we're gonna finalize the seasoning. So this step is important, just to taste. I'm gonna add a little more brown sugar. I don't need too much. Because I want the black pepper to really come out, I'm gonna add some more. But not enough to like ruin this orange color. There were some recipes we tested, they didn't call for eggs, and they just tasted like a plopped mashed potato that's like in a casserole dish for no reason. If you add some eggs to it, it helps the filling extend and souffle a little bit. It just kind of gives it more body and richness and an interesting quality that I think is really nice. But this sweet potato casserole made me really excited. It was one of those things where after the first test, it was so good, but I had to fly back to New York the next day. So I left it with my brother. Let me just read his text actually. Dan, the sweet potato casserole is really good, haha. I've been killing it. And then he posted a picture. That's really cleanly eaten. So actually, to this point, this is why we greased the pan. I'm gonna keep whisking. I'm kind of trying to add a little bit of air, but not that much. See how it's already like fluffier? Can you tell? The secret ingredient to sweet potato casserole is air. Sorry. That's so fluffy and so orange. Lovely, right? The eggs add lift. Greasing the pan is like one of my least favorite things to do ever. The warmth of your hand will also help it kind of spread. Buttering the dish kind of helps the mixture be separate from the pan a little bit, and it's nice for when you're scooping. Should I do this like in the food media way where I'm doing it very unnaturally and the way my body doesn't contort, but just loop it in? I love using words like gloop and gunge to describe food. And my editor is always like, that doesn't sound appetizing. And I'm like, hey, life's not perfect. I just want you to use the smallest, cutest casserole dish you have. As much as I love this dish, I don't need that much of it. I don't think anyone needs that much of it. Well, with that said, maybe you'll be like my brother and just kill the whole thing by yourself. A lot of recipes call for the mini ones. I did enjoy the recipes that called for that. However, for like visual purposes, I like what the large marshmallow does. If I were to just place these marshmallows on top, it'd be way too much marshmallow for me personally. So I'm just cutting them in half. You need about like 20 for a 2-quart dish. It's funny, I usually hate doing stuff like this, but this is very satisfying. This is like art, because you get a really cool design. It's striking, it's nice, it's Thanksgiving. You wanna show off a little bit. Instead of just like doing it all across like this, it's boring. Tilt the pan and kind of do it diagonally. So fit one into the corner. You do want to leave a little space between each. After we bake this off, the marshmallows are going to kind of expand. They're going to look really cool. They're going to brown a little bit. We're going to broil it at the very end just to make sure they're truly like toasty and crispy. We want like a very thin, elegant layer of marshmallow. I like respecting the marshmallow. This is American history we're talking about here. I'm from Georgia, so I thought it'd be nice to have some pecans in there, because then you have the best of both worlds, north and south. And so these are just salted, roasted packaged pecans. I'm kind of dropping them in the naked spots, like the crevices. As this bakes, the pecans will also further brown and get really crispy. And I like this because you look at it and you're like, this is sweet potato casserole, but it's just a little cuter. I don't know, people should have fun with their food. If you wanted to prep this the day before, you can actually just cover it at this step. So this is like one dish done, and then you like put it in the fridge, and then you can like feel smug about it. But we're gonna bake it off now. It's been 20 minutes, and I'm happy with this. You can see it's starting to brown a little bit, and the sweet potato part here is bubbling at the edges, which is never a bad sign. But now I'm gonna move it to the top rack under the broiler. But this is really the best way to get that toasted marshmallow effect where it's like a shellac of crispy marshmallow on top and like gooey underbelly. As soon as you see a wisp of smoke, that's when you pull it out. It'll be anywhere from like 30 seconds to 3 minutes. It depends on your oven. You could use a blowtorch if you wanted. It's working. You see that smoke? It's done. Take it out. Look at that beauty. Gorgeous little baby. So I'm really excited because the satisfying visual of a sweet potato casserole is that the casserole sort of looks like it's mimicking the colors of a sweet potato. And it's just the perfect amount of marshmallow. It's like the perfect layer. It's not too much. And then I'm going to get a pecan because that's the perfect bite. I don't know if you caught that, but there were two types of crunch in this. It was like the marshmallow kind of shattering in my mouth. Cool, right? But then the nut is also crunchy, but a different kind. It's like a harder crunch. As you're eating this, you appreciate the savoriness of the potato, scent of bay leaf, lots of black pepper. Also, the toasting of the marshmallow just makes it less sweet. It like adds a bitterness, which is important. I was inspired by recipes that made the marshmallows have a purpose, you know? Like I like this idea that the marshmallow is the thing that adds a little bit of the sugar so that the sweet potato flavor can come out. When I do these Thanksgiving recipes, it's nice to have a day where you're kind of cooking through past iterations. I like seeing where other people's brains go. It just shows you the variety that could be sweet potato casserole. Wow. I wanted to provide a version that made you rethink the casserole, help you to really appreciate the dish for what it is. You can find this recipe and many more Thanksgiving recipes at nytcooking.com. Enjoy, happy Thanksgiving.
The marshmallows.
Ooh, that's so cute.
This is great.
The marshmallow's fun, right?
Delicious.
It stays crispy too.